What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Pitts from Pitts and Push Sports Talk Radio. Pitt Sports Zone Bowie TV coming to you live, man, with Coach Bernard Clark Jr., a.k.a. Tiger. Through the Eye of the Tiger is the name of this segment. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, Pitts. How you doing, my man?
I'm good. Coach, you know why I'm laughing. They don't know
I,
why I'm laughing.
I know
But
I know
listen.
exactly why you laugh. It's a
so,
celebration.
so listen, everybody. I got a treat for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just want y'all to. I'll ask you the question after you see this treat. Oh goodness, Coach. Oh man, Coach, I just want to know, what was it that, like, so take us through that moment.
Well, it's crazy. You know, on the way up there, our players watch 30 for 30, and about the U. It's all about the U. And I'm on 30 for 30. They got me doing different dances on the 30 for 30 after celebrations and stuff like that. So after we won that big game on Saturday, I was sitting outside on the bench like, Coach, you got to come in to join us. You got to come in and dance. So I went in there and just went in there and act a little fool for him. That's all.
Oh, okay. So listen, audience, what I want y'all to do is I want y'all to rate Coach's dancing. 0 being the worst, 10 being the highest. For those who are just joining us that did not see it, I'm going to play it again real quick, and then I'm going to play it again at the end. Here's for those who missed it. Oh, man, Coach, good morning. How you doing today?
I'm great, man. I'm doing great. The crazy thing is, you know what all the players ask me? Hey, Coach, how your knees feel? Because
right. So
the
funny,
adrenaline
man.
was flowing. The adrenaline was flowing. I didn't even feel the knees. We were good.
It's good to see you enjoying that time with your players, man.
There's no doubt, man. You know, the thing about wins, man, wins are hard to get. I tell people all the time, it's not easy to win. When you see a team go undefeated, and I know every fan in America expects their team to go undefeated. Why can't we go undefeated? Because wins are hard to get. It's a situation. You got to enjoy those wins. You got to love those wins. You got 24 hours to enjoy those wins. That's what I tell our guys. You got 24 hours to enjoy them. And if you lose, you got 24 hours to be upset. So we just want to make sure we enjoyed that and really savored that win because it was a big win for us.
This week, we're now in preparation for our last 2 home games. And I know we didn't talk about our wow on Tuesday. So what's our wow of the week?
Our wow is intentional. Because after making the decision we did last week of doing what we're supposed to do and putting ourselves in the right position to win that football game, everything we do now has to be intentional. The plays we call have to be intentional. How a player does this, how he does that has to be intentional. Everything has to be intentional. We got to make sure we're on point with everything that we do. One, because now our starting quarterback's not going. Chickett's out this week with a concussion, so we got to make sure that everything, coaches and players, is intentional as we step on that field.
Before I follow back up with the wow, or the injury report. No Chickett went down. A couple of O-linemen went down. How are we? I know you just said Chickett was out. What about the O-linemen?
The O-linemen, they're going to play sparingly. Right now, they haven't practiced a whole lot. So the guy that's been practicing all week, he's going to be our starter. So we got a starter in there. But the guys that can't go, we're trying to get them in a position in case of emergency. They can get on the field and give us what they can give us. Right now, tell us guys can give us a quarter. That's what we need. If we need you for a quarter, like coach, we'll give you whatever we can. So they're on the right page when it comes to that. We're also going to lose one of our receivers, Connor Becker. He also suffered a concussion in the game on Saturday after a tackle hit his head on the ground. So it's one of those situations. But, we just, again, man, we say this every week, and we know I mean it every week, next man up, because who's ever on that field, that's what we believe in. We believe in that guy that's on that field because that's why we recruited him. That's why we recruited him, and that's why we brought him in here.
We pivot back to our wow, and you said intentional. And as we stated before, the wows tend to follow suit from the previous wow. Last week's wow was decisions, and intact. You have to be intentional about the decisions that we make, the choices that we make. and it plays a pivotal moment in the mental and physical preparation when you say being intentional, being intentional about your study habits, being intentional about the effort you give at practice, being intentional about the decisions that we made last week. The game didn't look like it was going in our favor, but we made the decision and we were intentional about giving our best effort. Talk about the importance of that, not just from, as we always talk about, the aspect of on the field, but off the field, how it
Well,
carries over.
well, the biggest thing is each week you put in a new game plan. Uh, it may vary a little bit. It may be almost spot on. It depends on the team you're playing. But this week, we're intentional in the game plan we're putting in because, one, our starting quarterback's not here. So we got to make
Right,
sure that the guy that's going in, even though he's been here, we got to make sure he's capable of doing the things that the last guy did when it comes to certain plays. Our
right,
offensive line is not 100%. So we got to make sure we put our offensive line in the best position, not just physically, but also mentally, that they can do the things we're asking them to do. And defensively, we got some things to change up. More of our safeties are back, so we're going to do a little bit of that man package we did last week, but they go some 12 personnel. So when you go to 12 personnel, one back, two tight ends, now you got to put some bigger guys in it. So now I got to get the safeties back on the field. So our game plan this week will make sure our guys are sitting down and studying the game plan because it's going to differentiate a little
right.
bit different from last week. So got to make sure we're intentional and they're intentional in studying that game plan and being diligent about what they need to do.
And when you talk about the quarterback going down and being intentional in regards to his ability, when it comes to the play calling, is it a vast difference in the things that you are able to do with Ticket that you may not be able to do and with the person that started this week?
No, not so much. The biggest difference between Chicken and Tyler are with Chicken. Chicken had a chance to play about 3 or 4 games last year where he started in those games. So Chicken had a few games on his belt. Tyler transferred in from UAlbany, and Tyler hadn't played for 2 years there. So the difference is Chicken has a little more game experience, and he had a little more game. Now, at the beginning of the year, when we started, Tyler was our starter. He was one that
Right,
we lost at Air Force. Tyler was our starter. He won the starting position. It's just Chicken came in, and Chicken did a good job, so we never switched back to it. But now
right,
we have the faith in Tyler. So we're basically going back to what we originally was thinking when we had Tyler in the game. And it goes back to Tyler's he's a pocket passer with a strong arm. Chicken's got a good arm, and he's also makes great decisions. So with Tyler, we just got to get him to make the decisions that Chicken was making. And the reason I'm saying that is because, again, he hadn't played as much as Chicken. Chicken played in 4 games, and it's a different atmosphere for him. So he's starting from the beginning. He's got to get ready. So he has to be intentional in studying that game plan. He has to be intentional of understanding when we're at practice, okay, first read, second read, not there. Either I need to scramble or I need to take off and make sure that he's intentional about those things. So he can't be methodical in that pocket when it comes to certain things because, again, we don't have that line that we have. So the protection may not be where it needs to be at. So we may have to slide the protection one way or slide another way. Goes back to the mental aspects of that O-line understanding, okay, this is a slide protection to this blitz to the left this time or to the east or whatever the situation may be. He's got to make that call. He's got to make sure they understand who the Mike linebacker is. So there's a lot that goes into it. So he has to be intentional in the game plan and make sure our OC understands that he understands that game plan.
When you switch out, an important piece as quarterback, and that means the ebb and flow may be different than the way the ebb and flow was with Chicken,
Mm-hmm.
and then the relationship or the continuity, the relationship established between Robinson and Chicken, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, are there worries that Robinson's won't be able to because now he has to readapt?
No, not really, to be honest with you, because like I said, the starter at the beginning of the year was Tyler. So it was a situation where we understood that Noah was our best receiver and still is. But the great thing about it is the other receivers are stepping up now. They're starting to
Okay,
understand. That's why it's a tough thing to lose Connor because Connor one of those receivers that stepped up in the first half when we had to sit Noah down in the first half for our game against Tennessee Tech. So it's a situation where, we're not really divvying away from Noah. Noah's still a part of it, a big part of it. But now our other weapons are still there, and I think the QB can get into those guys also.
okay. And this week, again, a home game. The last 2 games are at home.
Yes.
Intentionally trying to pack the crowd out. trying to pack Bobby Moe.
Ain't no doubt. That's exactly what we're trying to do. We're trying to make sure that Bobby Moe fans are here. We're gonna pack. It's the Joe Walton Stadium, so we're gonna pack that Joe out. Make sure people are showing up and make sure they understand that these last two games we're gonna fight. I mean, that's the great thing about our guys, and that's why I was so disappointed to be 30-point underdogs. Like I told you, I didn't bother me they would pick to lose. That's a great situation, but to say we're gonna be beat by 30 points mean we're not gonna show up. And our guys are showing up every week. And that's the thing about our guys. We've made mistakes, but our guys show up each and every week to fight and to play hard and to play for 60-plus minutes. Because as coaches, that's what we believe in, and that's what we value ourselves in, to make sure our guys play 60-plus minutes. So we're trying to pack the Joe out and make sure people are there, being a part of this thing, being excited about it, like we're excited about it, and hope we can get another dub.
And I'm not a part of that establishment or that, that culture where they pick underdogs and, they pick the point differential. But 30 points is a lot. Like,
yeah,
that is disrespectful. That's equivalent to, they put in Alabama against Firm. They expect Alabama to like just run the score up.
Yeah, if we played Alabama and we were 30-point underdog, of course. I mean, who's not going to pick us as a 30-point underdog? We're an FCS program, it's one of the top FBS programs in the nation. So, of course, I get it. But again, FCS program, and again, I'm not taking anything away from SEMO. Southeastern Missouri has a great football team. They're a good football team. It's just a situation where when critics, make up as 30-point underdogs, it's kind of crazy. Like I said, our guys are going to show up each and every week, and they're going to show up this week, and they're going to play hard. If nothing else, I know our guys are going to give 100% when we're on that football field, because I believe in them and they believe in us as coaches that what we're doing is going to work and it's going to help us win football games.
Let's talk about the defense and their ability in the last couple of weeks where they were able to minimize their missed tackles. You're going to have missed tackles in the game, but, it's about minimizing those mistakes to where you can practically get it down into single digits, which your team has done. Talk about the importance of them keeping that streak going.
Well, that's extremely important this week because this team, Charleston Southern, has a running back who's outstanding running back. He's one of the top running backs in our conference. And the guy is shifty. He's extremely patient when it comes to hitting holes. He's waiting for the holes to develop. He knows how to follow his blocks, and he runs behind his pads. He's not a huge guy, but he runs behind his pads extremely well. He'll make you miss. He can also run you over if necessary. So we got to make sure that we're not missing tackles this week. And the wide receiver core, it's a good group of guys. They work well together. But probably the thing that's most impressive about this team is how their coach manages their talent. Their coach understands, they've been through about 2 or 3 quarterbacks. And the one they thought they had, the one that was starting, he ended up tearing his ACL. So now they're back, this quarterback, that quarterback. So it's been a situation where it's been different quarterbacks. But what he's done is, you can tell as the game plan goes along, this Coach Gabe does a great job of making sure that the quarterback understands what he's doing. He's not trying to get the quarterback out of his comfort zone. He wants to make sure the quarterback, if it's a short passes, he's short passes. If it's long passes. So he makes the game plan around him. He's not in a rush to do the game plan. You can tell he's making the game longer. He's trying to make sure, he's trying to shorten up the game because he wants to make sure that his defense is a strong point. They have an unbelievable deep front seven, the defensive line, the linebackers are a great core group of guys, and they get after, and their special teams are solid. They do a lot of good things in the special team, and they don't turn the ball over. I mean, that's the great thing about these guys, and you and I talked about that on Tuesday. These guys do a good job of protecting the football. So he's going to make the game shorter, make sure those guys are in place, and he's going to take what you give him. He's not going to try to beat you by throwing it way downfield if a guy's not open. He'll take deep shots if he needs to, but it's more about moving the chains with him.
And when we talk about injuries, I had a thought that I wanted to ask you, or a question that I wanted to ask you.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a senior, and say the senior plays 3 or 4 games, right, and he goes down with an injury that sidelines him for the rest of the year, does he lose that year of eligibility?
It all depends. If he hasn't been redshirted, we can redshirt him for that year because he only played in 3 or 4 games. You can play up to 4 games, but he's been redshirted before. If he's been redshirted, it had to be a medical redshirt, and it had to be in the top, I think, top 50% of the top 30% of the games in order to get a medical. So he can play like Anything in the first half of the games, like once you get past 6 or 7 games, you can't medical him anymore. It has to be in the top half of it in order to medical him. In order for him to get another medical red shirt, it has to be a medical the first time and a medical the second time in the top half of the season. So it's a lot of stuff that goes into it. Now, if that senior has never been redshirted, like he came in and played as a freshman, and we've never redshirted him, then yes, that we can redshirt him, not medical redshirt him. We can redshirt him because he's only played in 4 games, and he'll get that year back if we want him to come back.
So if a player has been medically redshirted in the past, well, no, they were redshirted in the past as a freshman.
Okay.
But then injury strikes senior year. Because they weren't medically redshirted before, they won't be able to be redshirted again?
Absolutely not. They won't. And the only reason I know this, when I was coaching at Colorado State, and our top linebacker at the time named Mike Sisson, Mike broke his leg in the second game. So the first thing we thought about, hey, we need to redshirt this guy, try to bring him back for next year. But when we called the NCAA, Mike had been redshirted his freshman year. And so they told us he can't be redshirted. So
that's a tough blow.
Yeah, it is a tough blow.
That's a tough blow. That's a tough blow institutionally, but that's a tough blow personally for that player as well.
Yeah. Now, the thing about Mike was able to, he rehabbed and he came back for the last 3 games, after a broken leg. So he came back and played the last 3 games for us. So he was good there. But yeah,
he was intentional.
There ain't no doubt. He was intentional in coming back trying to make it happen. Because the year before I got there, because I was only there for 1 season, the year before, he had led the nation in forced fumbles. I think he had forced like either 6 or 8 fumbles or something like that. He led the nation, got a plaque for it. So he was one of our better players. So we definitely wanted him out there. So when he broke his leg, it was kind of crazy.
Take us through practice this week thus far.
Practice has been good. Like we had the civic thing on Monday, so we didn't practice on Monday night. So we gave him Monday off. And so on Tuesday was the first day to kind of go against Charleston Southern and see what we had and stuff like that. Tuesday's practice, to me, I look for more effort in Tuesday's practice as opposed to anything else, because when you're putting in a new package, you're putting in new stuff, mentally guys are going to move a little bit slower mentally, but they shouldn't move any slower effort-wise. So I try to see where the effort is on Tuesday. Our effort level was up a little bit on Tuesdays compared to other Tuesdays, because usually Tuesday's practice drive me nuts, because when you're installing stuff and the guys are trying to figure it out, they slow themselves down. So they're a little more intentional in getting their effort up where it needs to be at. So Tuesday's practice was good. Yesterday's practice was real good. I thought it was real good. The pace was picked up a lot. And again, also with Tyler, now being a starting quarterback, seeing what he's seeing, he was a little slower on Tuesday, and yesterday he was a little faster. He picked things up, so he's starting to understand it. So our practice has been real good. So hopefully we can finish up the day. Today will be on special teams emphasis. The practice will be, but offense and defense obviously will do those things too. We want to make sure special teams is emphasized and make sure our guys understand it is a vital part of the game. So we have a great practice today, I think.
Have you noticed any carryover of excitement from last weekend's victory?
Oh, absolutely. The thing, but I had to slow it down a little bit, because remember I told you weeks ago, a long time ago, our guys joined back and forth in practice, talking to the defense, I had to stop that because it had been costing us a game. So on Tuesday, they came out, they were talking noise to each other, going back and forth. So yesterday I had to, hey, guys, look, we don't know how to just keep it on the practice field. We want to take it to the game field. And I said, and it's hurt us before, so we got to be real smart about talking back and forth to each other, make sure we're not talking to the coaches, aren't talking to defensive coaches, aren't talking to offensive players, offensive coaches aren't talking to defensive players. We're keeping it on our side of the ball. So it was more celebration yesterday with defense, offense was offense, making them understand that we can't do all the joining back and forth.
Have you noticed when you say that Tyler started a little slow on Tuesday, but he picked it up yesterday, any extra encouragement from the players around him?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think the most encouragement is them just catching the ball. I mean, guys, he's putting it on the money, and they're catching and they're putting it in, and they're understanding now they're turning up the field. So I think it's that. And, got wide receivers talking to him, and obviously us as coaches always, constantly, hey, look, man, I believe in you. Let's get it done. And he understands that he's coming into a situation where he's got to make sure his mental part is on point, because physically he's a gifted quarterback. There's no doubt about it. But mentally, he's got to make sure he's on point. And I think that on Tuesday, it was a little bit slower, like I said. But yesterday, you can see the brightness in his eyes, him getting the hand out of his ball. Getting the ball out of his hand real quick. So those things were extremely important for him.
And when we talk about, the emphasis on special teams, we always talk about, flipping the field. And in this situation where you say they have good special teams play,
Hmm.
it's even more vitally important for special teams this week, to be on top of his A+ game.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Their kickoff coverage is pretty doggone good. Now they have had one return to the house on them because the guys get down there so fast. But they get,
Mm,
we got to make sure we're picking them up, make sure we put them on point. So when one guy gets down there fast, another guy and everything, it leaves kind of lanes and gaps. So we're gonna try to take advantage of that a little bit. But at the same time, their punt team is real good. They do a great job of getting down punt. The punter has great hang time on his kicks. So that's always outstanding. On the kickoff, the reason does a good job because he has great hang time on his kickoff. The return man, they return one to the house. So we got to make sure on kickoff we're getting down there. And again, it goes back to our punt team. That to me, that's the most vital part. Kickoff and punt team. The punt team, our punter's done a great job. Like he kicked a 9-yarder last week, like I told you, and I thought I was gonna kill him. But the great thing about George is he can handle it. So me snapping on him and going off on him, it just made him kill the last one. So that's the kind of person he is. He's also our holder. He gets everything going. He's our captain. So our punt team is going to be good. So we got to make sure we're solid on special teams. Like I said, I'm not worried about winning a game on special teams, but we definitely can't lose a game because of special teams.
Can you talk about the importance of the scenario when you talk about the punter being and the gunners being sequenced, and on the same page? There's situationals where the punter out kicks the coverage.
Absolutely.
Um, and those are things that are not necessarily studied or talked about. It happens, but it's rare. So when you talk about the gunners or on kickoff for them, the one that they have returned, the guys getting down there too fast, similar, right? It's similar
Hmm.
to the punter kicking it faster than the gunners can get down. And
Yeah.
what happens is you now create lanes of divide where now we can really kind of pick our poison because you showed your hand. You've abandoned your post, so to say.
Yeah. And the thing about it usually happens with a line drive kick.
Right,
When you got air under the ball, and that's why it's important for kickoff guys. I tell our kickoff guys, your hang time needs to be anywhere from 4 to 5 seconds
right.
for guys to get
Give
down
us
there.
time to get down there.
Same thing with punters. And a lot of times, what you're saying, we use receivers on the outside, but receivers, especially on punt team on gunners, because they're used to getting off of jams and they're used to getting down the field fast. And outside guys, our number one guys, are our guys that are going to the ball on kickoff. Those are usually receivers or definitely DBs because you want guys with speed getting down there. Everybody else is following them up because those guys got to go down and they got to take a shot. They're going to take a
Right,
shot at the return man. If they miss him, then everybody else is going to fit up on them, but they're going to go down and take a shot. Same thing with the gunners. The gunners are going down. They're going to be smart. If he waves his hand, they're going to get behind him. But if he don't wave his hand, they're going to take a shot. They're going to make sure they take a shot. So those guys they're extremely important, like you said. But the hang time is extremely important also.
how excited is it to just be able to just wake up and play that game, coach that game, for something that's a part of you. This week, I couldn't imagine, being a head coach, getting to do that thing that you love.
Hmm.
And it's like, man, I get to wake up, smell the grass. And when football season's over, technically it's really never over.
No.
But when the games are over,
Hmm.
when the season is over, are there any? Do you take a break? Do you woosah? How do you reprieve everything that happened the season before?
With me, it's more about getting home and seeing my mom, man, and just seeing my family during Thanksgiving time. That's usually when I get home and being with my friends and sitting around my friends and just kind of talking. Being able, like I tell you, this is therapeutic for me when I go home and I sit and talk with my mom. We have conversations because my mom loves talking football. I've been playing football since I was 8, so she calls me after every game, whether win or lose, just to chat it up and see how I felt about the team, how I feel about the coaches, and things like that. So to go home and just sit with her and sit with family, that's usually how I unwind. And I watch movies, man. And I like a good cigar every now and then. So I'm one of those guys that kind of just laid back. I'm not a guy that gets into this or gets into that. I'm 56. I got more years, behind me than I do in front. I'm just trying to enjoy life. So I don't take it home with me. I'm not a guy that takes this home with me. Like if we have a loss, I'm not going to take it home and not talk to my wife or get upset with
Right.
her because we lost the football game. I'm not going to do those things. That's just not something that, I'm going to do. I don't take it home. It's one of those things. I'm home. I'm home. I'm spending time with my family and my friends. And when I'm here, I'm here. You know, I've said it before. This is what I do. This is not who I am.
This week's keys to the game, we talked, we said, of course, keeping the missed tackles minimized, penalties minimized, and then again, the tempo of the game, just keeping that tempo going. Field management, clock management, third down efficiency, first down, getting positive yards on first downs. Keys to a W this week against Charleston.
Always, those are the things that always stick out. Pitch, that as a football coach and as a former player like yourself who's played at the college level, that's what it's all about. Making sure you minimize your mistakes. We had 4 penalties last week, so it gives you an idea of why we're able to stay in that game.
Yeah.
Even though we had 2 turnovers, we only had 4 penalties, and only 2 of them were really costly when you think about it. But
Right.
when you go from having 15 or 7 or 8 in one game down to 4, that's huge. So those self-inflicted wounds can hurt you. So we got to make sure we minimize as many self-inflicted wounds as we can and make sure we stay on track in order to get the W.
All right, Coach. I'm gonna go ahead and let them have it one more time, man.
Yo, let's get it. Let's get it.
Before we let them leave, I just gotta play it one more time for the viewers, man. Again, if you have not seen this video, I need you to rate Coach's dancing from 0 being the worst and 10 being the best.
Oh,
Let's
man.
go.
So the crazy part is if we get a dub on Saturday, I gotta do something else now. I can't do the same thing, right? I can't do the same thing.
Listen, because the world has seen it.
Yeah.
So look, I'm looking forward to this dance after this week's W. Coach, I appreciate you. Another one. I when you say it's therapeutic for you, it's also therapeutic for me as well.
No doubt. Hey, let's go, Bobby Mo.
It's your boy Pitts from Pitts and Push Sports Talk Radio, Pitt Sports Zone. And then there's another one Thursday morning, me and Tiger, aka Coach Bernard Clark Jr., Robert Morris University head coach. Let's go next Saturday, this Saturday, catch us for Execution Saturday. Enjoy your Thursdays.